Hi, I am Laura Diehl, author, speaker, and bereaved parent. Now, I get emails from many of you telling me what some of your biggest struggles are. And I recently got two emails in a row with the same struggle. So I thought, okay, let's talk about this. Both Tricia and Priscilla emailed me saying that their greatest struggle after the death of their child right now for them is actually believing that it happened, accepting the fact that their child has died and is no longer here on earth with them. They both know that their sons are in heaven, they're in a better place than here on this earth, but that doesn't take away the pain. We know that. And just that fog that they're in of trying to accept it. I want to start out by saying there are no stages of grief. We hear about that, going through the anger and acceptance and all of that stuff. That was actually written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And when she wrote that and began to talk about it, it wasn't for people accepting the death of a loved one. It was actually written for somebody who is terminally ill. And you know, the doctor says there's no hope, there's nothing we can do. Those patients go through these, I think it's 5 stages of grief in accepting the fact that they're going to die. It was not written for people who are grieving the death of someone who has died. And so if you're struggling to figure out how you fit in with these 5 stages of grief, there's no such thing. Our grief is a lot more like a tangled up bunch of yarn. It's just all meshed, mashed, messed up together, and it's just an intertwining mess. And there's no stages. We come and go between all of these emotions. And at the beginning, yes, it is very foggy and there's so much confusion. You feel like you're in this fog, in this dream, that it didn't really happen, and you hope you're going to wake up from this nightmare and find out it was just a nightmare. But it just keeps going and going, and you don't wake up, and it really is hard to believe that this has really happened. And I just want to tell you that that's normal. It is so normal to feel that way. As a matter of fact, our fogginess and our confusion, it carries into everything. We just feel like we're living our life in this fog bubble. And even to the point where we could find ourselves holding on to an orange and forgetting what we're supposed to do with this thing in our hands. It messes with all parts of us, our emotions, our minds, our thoughts, our physical bodies. And that's normal to be in that kind of a fog after your child has died. And the other thing I want to share with you is, after we do get to a point where that fog and that numbness starts to lift, and the reality of the fact that our child is gone starts to really hit us hard. And so I just want to kind of prepare you for that. This fog isn't going to last forever. It's kind of like a gift from God for the initial shock that it just doesn't seem like it happened. But eventually, usually it's about a year or so for a lot of us. Now, there's no timeline, so don't try to compare yourself and feel like you're not in the right place. Wherever you are in your grief, you are in the right place for you. But I'm just saying, as a whole, it tends to be this way, that fog starts to lift a few months down the road, and then the reality begins to hit you that your child is gone and they're not coming back to you. The next time you see them will be when you go to him or her. And it's a painful time. And I guess, in a sense, when we're in this maze, and then you'll come in and out of that fog, you'll come in and out of all those emotions, and you may feel like you thought you were past a certain point, and then all of a sudden you get hit with it again. It's just normal grief. You're okay. You're not losing your mind. It's not early Alzheimer's setting in. That's what I thought. But it's just how your body and your mind is dealing with the grief of the loss of your child. So the reality hits us, and that can be a very painful time. And maybe if I refer to it as seasons, where we go through a season where we're in that fog and we have a hard time believing it happened, and we're waiting to just come out of that fog and realize it really didn't happen. And then eventually that fog starts to lift, and we kind of step into the next season of grief. And for all of us, those seasons are different as to how long we're there. And like I said, we can go in and out of these different seasons, but the next season is that reality of, this isn't a dream, I'm not numb anymore, this really happened, and we have to walk through that. And I want to encourage you to find other parents who have lost a child who can walk through that time with you, because we have been there. We know the pain, we know just all those emotions that come with it, and it is so helpful if you have other parents. I call us bereavers, a parent who's been bereaved of their child. The word Reve means a ripping, a robbing, a torn from us. And I know that's how I felt when my daughter Becca died. And so taking the pa from parents and the Reve, bereavers. So that's what I call us. So surround yourself with other bereavers who have been in that place and been in the season that you find yourself in, that season of fog, and then moving into that season of reality that this really did happen. And I want to encourage you, from that season, you will go into the next season, which is the season of, I can't live the rest of my life in this much pain. I can't live my life in a shell just waiting to die, to go be with my child. I have to figure out how to live this life in a way where I can function again. And even going to the place of not only functioning, but be able to live a life of meaning and purpose again. And that usually what motivates a lot of us to get through those beginning seasons of so much pain and darkness. What motivates a lot of us is figuring out how to live in a way that honors our child, because the life of our child mattered. We don't want to just be stuck in the death of our child. We want to get to the point where we live in a way that honors the life of our child, and live it in a way that others know that the life of our child mattered, and our child's life is important, even though they're not here anymore. And so to find a way to live, not in spite of your child's death, but to live in a way that honors his or her life. So that's, I guess, what I have to say about this. Thank you, Tricia and Priscilla, for writing to me with this struggle. And, you know, I can't do anything to pull you out of that fog. I wish I could so much, but I can. And those others of us who have lost a child, we can walk with you. And there are many of us who want to walk with you through these seasons of grief as you travel, as we're on this same journey together. If you are not familiar with our ministry, it's GPS Hope, Grieving Parents Sharing Hope. You can find us at gpshope.org, and you might want to check into, I have a weekly podcast and also a weekly Word of Hope email that I send out. You'll find it all there if you go to the website. And also on my podcast every week, I announce the birthdays of our children who are no longer here, and we celebrate together the day they came into this world. So if you want to have your child celebrated with the other listeners of the Grieving Parents Sharing Hope podcast, you'll see how to do that on the website as well. So I hope this was somewhat helpful, just to tell you that where you are is normal, and it's a journey, it's a long journey, but we are here to walk it with you.